If you're thinking of changing careers in your 30s or even if you're older, it is not too late. I have done it successfully, and I can tell you that you can do anything that you want to do as long as you don't allow yourself to fall for social conditioning, you do the work, and that you ultimately believe in yourself. If you can do those simple things, there's absolutely no reason why your career change can't be a success or that you would ever have to start from scratch. And here is why. Whether we realize it or not, society has pressured us to attach certain arbitrary timelines to our lives, and we are suffocated by them. From the moment we're born, we hear that at this age you should be walking, at this age you should be married, at this age you should have kids, and at such and such age you should own a house. And all this to say that by the time you hit 30, you're meant to be living in this fantasy world where you have everything figured out. You have a great job, you have a picture perfect family, a great house, and everything. And if you don't have that, you beat yourself up. And if you do have it, especially if you have a great job, but for some reason you're unhappy, you feel guilty, you feel stressed, you feel depressed, and you feel like you're unable to express it in case people think that you are ungrateful. And this is a feeling that I know very, very well because I've been on both sides of the spectrum, right? And a career change is also super hard if you find yourself working in certain corporate spaces where people are like, oh, by the time you hit such and such age, you should be a partner or a director. At this age, you'll be earning around 200K, managing a team of 10 and having a corporate credit card, traveling the world and whatever. And you go along with it because that's what we're supposed to do, right? And hardly ever do we stop to ask ourselves whether we're actually enjoying the journey. And this social conditioning is so ingrained in us that when we want or we need something different, it feels like it's too late, and our fear of change keeps us like stuck within the status quo. We're also surrounded by people who keep going through the motions, hence that's why it's called the rat race. And not only are we held back by our own fears, but we also absorb some of theirs too. Then we start telling ourselves things like, it's too late, we have too much to lose, I'd have to start all over from the bottom again. And then we decide to stay where we are. We're running a race that's not even meant for us, and we're trying to achieve the same status as people whose lives we don't even like, right? And here is the newsflash. That is societal conditioning speaking. And as someone who broke away from all of that to build and redesign a successful career that straddles both corporate and the creative worlds, things that I love, I can tell you for a fact that it's not too late to change careers in your 30s, your 40s, or even your 50s. I mean, I'm not 40 or 50 yet, but the rationale is still the same. And in fact, if you time it right, now could actually be the best time for you. But what I will promise you is that if you wait for too long, tomorrow may just be too late. And I'll talk on that later on shortly. But if you're new here, please do subscribe, show some love, and hit the notification bell. My name is Dels, and this channel is all about helping you to take control of your life by building a successful and financially rewarding career that you love on your own terms. Right, so why is it not too late to change careers when you're midway in, or you're even senior level in your 30s, your 40s, or your 50s? Well, the fact is, the older you get, the more transferable skills that you've accumulated. Plus, you have a whole lifetime's worth of experiences that you can channel into a new career. So let's just look at my example. I worked in big law for nearly 10 years, but the whole time I knew that I wanted to get into tech. It's an area that I loved. I had an idea for an app, but on the face of it, I had no relevant experience. I had no coding skills, no computer engineering degree, no real connections or anything like that in tech. So it was really hard to see how I could make it happen. Or so I thought. But when I dug a little bit deeper, what did I find? Beyond my drafting skills, lawyers have a number of transferable skills that are relevant to a lot of industries. And one of the most obvious ones is project management. That was a big one for me. It's like one of my biggest epiphanies, because anyone who's ever done aircraft financing, which is my specialty, one of my specialties in the past anyway, they will tell you that selling one plane involves around 70 different documents that you have to manage within a short time frame, including multiple stakeholders in lots of different jurisdictions. And all of this needs to be done done around the same time. So if you can do something like that, shifting into a project management role should be a breeze. And it's just a matter of rebranding yourself, upskilling in the shortest time frame possible so that you can make a lateral move into whatever industry it is that you choose. And the same strategy applies regardless of your background. So I know that you might be thinking, oh, Dallas, you worked in law, but whether you work in banking, consulting, any other industry, the principle is the same, because you will have transferable skills if you look at your background creatively. But what I will say to follow up on that is that making a career change requires a lot of introspection and looking at your job history with a completely different lens. Yes, you may not have had the same experience as other people your age in the industry that you want to move to, but you could have gathered some transferable skills that are even more valuable and would make you a very different asset in the type of industry that you're looking to transfer into. So let's just say that you're an HR manager, for example, and you want to move into tech. A natural move would be for you to position yourself in front of unicorn companies like Eightfold, who help organizations to recruit efficiently and increase diversity within their organizations to kind of make sure that they're retaining their best talent. So if you have experience in talent management, these are things that you'd have had exposure to in your role as an HR manager. So with some strategic upskilling, networking, and persuasion, you should be able to land yourself a product or a project management role if you don't want to do something super technical. At this point, it's also very important for me to flag that staying put in a job that you're bored with or that you no longer enjoy, that no longer meets your needs, can actually cost you, and it can cost you a lot. Because if you're unhappy and you're just going through the motions because you're well paid, you're in danger. You're in physical and psychological danger, because that state of being can really affect your health and your relationships if you're unhappy. I have so many stories that I can tell about this, not just from myself, but friends and other people that I've observed, but this is not the platform. But what I will say is that I remember looking ahead at some people in law, and even though they were earning $1 million a year, it was very clear that they were unhappy. Their relationships were a shambles, they were unfit, they were unhealthy, and I just didn't want their lives. That said, I could see myself heading there as well, because even though my gut was telling me that it was time for me to do something else, my comfort zone was really comforting until it finally began to suffocate me. One day I just realized that the longer that I stayed put, the harder it would be for me to move, because the more money you make, the golden shackles get tighter, right? And then as you get older, there's things that I wanted in my life outside of work, like a family and kids. And when you start earning that big money and you send your kids to private school, it's a lot harder. It's not impossible, of course, and obviously that's why I say that career change is possible for you in your 50s, but there are a lot more considerations that you have at that age than if you're doing something at 30. And that's why, you know, that whole cliche saying that the best time to have started was yesterday is so true. It applies to investing, it applies to your career, and it really applies to nearly every aspect of life. So it's crucial to remember this. And through my research, I realized that it was incredibly short-sighted of me to stay in a role just because of money, because times have changed. There are so many other ways to earn similar money and even more outside of the vanilla corporate environment. There are so many other dynamic companies and industries out there that don't necessarily mean leaping into entrepreneurship. Now I've ended up in a position where I'm working fewer hours, I feel more balanced and happy, and my salary and my income projections are actually much better now that I have pivoted into a new industry. So if you're feeling like making a career change and you're feeling scared, I just want to highlight to you that there is no better time than the present. And in order to guide you, I'm going to share some steps that will make your move seamless. In short, you will need to identify your unfair advantage, your USP, your secret sauce, that thing that would make you such a unique person in the industry you want to move to. Naturally, you'd need to know the industry that you want to transition into, then strategically upskill, and in parallel, build a solid financial plan. And lastly, while you're doing all your research, while you're doing all of that, it's going to be important for you to take action. Of course, that's a very, very simplistic version of the steps involved in making a career change, and that's why I will be going live in just a few days to break down how successful high achievers can make a six-figure career change without taking a pay cut or starting over from scratch. This is going to be a free event for mid to senior level professionals who want to work with me to execute their career change, and details will be in the description box below. you do not want to miss this live event because I will be answering your questions directly in a very intimate space. It's free, like I mentioned before, and I will be breaking down the framework step by step to show you how I and other mid-career professionals have been able to execute successful leaps into new industries where we don't necessarily have direct experience, but have been able to do so successfully. So if you missed the live event, I might have a replay available, so do check out the description link below. I'll include all the details there. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Do let me know your thoughts below because I am yet to meet anyone who has made a career change and regretted it, because I mean, I don't know what they're doing out there, but I'm not really about that life. Like, my career change has been an exciting and such a rewarding process. Of course, there's been difficulties along the way when I doubted myself, but that's absolutely normal, right? And that's why I love to champion other people, because if you've worked so hard doing something that you don't particularly love and you've been successful at it, imagine what you could achieve if you actually applied that same energy and drive into a new industry that's related to the things that you love. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to comment below and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Toodles!